Hello everyone, nice to see you all in today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am broadcasting to you from Budapest, Hungary, Central Europe. Today we are looking at some IELTS speaking, course session 21, September 22nd today. And as usual, our materials are coming from our website. So for academic IELTS, check us out at aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. And for general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. I'm putting the URLs up here so you can always see it and check it out at your convenience. Also, you can download our app now from both your Play Store or iTunes. Search for Academic IELTS Help, and you should see our logo with Academic IELTS Help. Download that app. There's lots of free goodies there for you, and if you like it, you can also buy some listening sections there now as well, some additional sections. Hi May, hi Chia Razal, hi Shuk Singh, hi Bimal. Good to see so many joining in today. All right, if you want to get our original IELTS practice exam books with listening, reading, writing, and speaking sections, very similar to the official IELTS. You can do that on Amazon. Search for AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS, and then you can purchase our books in digital or paperback as well. We use those in these classes, so they're good to have in front of you when you're learning from these live streams. Of course, we have lots and lots of videos on our websites, fully interactive course. The exams are available there as well. And if you have questions about IELTS or our products, you can reach me through my email, adrian@aehelp.com. That's my name, at aehelp.com. All right, these classes are streaming to you live from Central Europe, so we're in Central European time. This is a quick peek at the schedule for the upcoming days. Today, we're here on the 22nd. Notice that we're broadcasting between 15 and 1600 hours. Today, again, speaking. Tomorrow, we're going to have a members chat only. You can become a member of our channel. If you become a member, we provide you with the exams as long as you're a member, and you can request some classes. Monday and Tuesday, there will be no class. And then on Wednesday, we start with a fresh course load. We're going to be looking at reading strategies on the 26th, then doing some grammar lessons on the 27th for the IELTS, and of course to master English. Some writing task 2 on the 28th, more speaking practice on the 29th, and again, a members requested class for the 30th. Hi Jeffrey, hi Baljit, hi Naveen. Good to see some members joining in on the class. Excellent. So today we are doing speaking practice for the IELTS. In the last few classes, we covered a lot of different strategies, tips, skills for IELTS speaking interview, for the speaking portion of the exam. So we're going to be using those today for some good practice. All right, if you missed those lessons, don't worry. They're still up on the YouTube channel. You can check them out there. You can go back and have a look at the video lists to catch up. All right, let's get into today's class. Okay, so here we go. This is again adapted from our online course. Of course, on the online course, it looks a lot more pretty than this. This is a little bit different color schemes and so on for these projections. So let's get into it with some speaking practice. Let's test your knowledge. Again, the quiz follows the same format as the IELTS. So in the real IELTS, you're sitting face to face. Oh yeah, a little shaky blue box there just reminded me of an important note. When you're practicing speaking at home, whether by yourself or with another student, or even if you're doing it in a class, it's a good idea to record your speaking interviews on your phone, and then don't just record them, but of course listen to them later on. Look for mistakes, try to improve your responses. If you missed an example, maybe include an example. It's a great way to improve your speaking skills and your band score for the IELTS. So record your speaking practice and listen to it. Okay, so here is a little bit of a transcript from a speaking interview between an examiner and a student. Now, because this is speaking, it's important that you repeat after me, okay? So when I say a question or an answer, doesn't matter, just repeat them nice and loud. Try to copy my pronunciation, my intonation, and of course, the exact words that I'm using. All right, so you walk into the IELTS exam, and there will be an examiner sitting there. The examiner will say, "Come on in, please have a seat." Right away, you should respond, say, "Good afternoon," or "Good morning," depending on the time of the day. "Thank you." And then have a seat. When you have a seat, remember, stay calm. The sun will shine tomorrow. You're there. There's no way to learn more English in these few seconds, so just do your best. Believe in yourself. And visualize, imagine that the examiner is your grandfather or your grandmother, so just picture their face on the examiners. That will make you more relaxed. It will remind you to speak nice and loud, to speak clearly. Maybe grandpa, grandma, they don't hear as well anymore, so you need to remember to talk loudly. And of course, remember that grandma, grandpa, they're a different generation. They're 2 generations apart. They don't know what you know. So if you're talking about technology, Facebook, etc., you need to be very clear, give details and examples, okay? So then the examiner will say, "Can I have your full name, please?" So you provide your full name. You say, "My name is John Smith. Please just call me John." And then they'll say, "All right, John, can I see your identification, please?" And then you say, "Sure, here you are." And then they'll take that, they'll have a look, they'll mark down some notes on their paper to make sure you're the right person, and they'll put it to the side and say, "I'll give this back to you at the end of the exam." Don't forget it there, especially if you're traveling to your exam. Then you'll have to go back if it's something important like your passport. The examiners are pretty good about giving that back at the end, but you never know. All right, and then the examiner will ask you a couple of icebreaker questions, just a couple of questions to make you feel more comfortable. So they'll say something like, "Currently, do you work or do you study?" So, Miriam, Jubilant James, I see you're in class. Jinho, Dinesh, good on you. Try to answer this question. Do you currently work or do you study? So what is a good answer or a good response for this question to show right away that you are focused and you have good English skills and you're ready to get that high band score? So again, the examiner says, "Are you currently working or are you a student?" What's a nice way to answer this question? Are you a student or do you work? Okay? Be prepared for that question. So it's usually going to be a question like that for the icebreaker. Might be something like, "How is your day going?" But it'll definitely be something of this sort. So one answer that most of you, I'm sure, can use is, "I'm currently studying to get a high score on the IELTS because I have a dream to move to Canada and build a great life." Okay, that could be a good answer. So while you're thinking of your answers, just repeat after me. "I'm currently studying to get a high score on the IELTS exam because I have a dream to move to Canada and build a great life." If you have a family, you can say "with my wife and 2 children." Okay. Baljit says, "Currently I'm studying for IELTS since I have plans to pursue my degree either in Canada or New Zealand." Okay, in Canada, Baljit. All right, Manisha says, "Currently I'm a student, but along with that, I lend a helping hand to my family in our family business where I wear many hats." All right, Manisha, that's a pretty good response. Just be really careful with those idioms, okay? Idioms can be a little bit tricky. Generally, right in an introduction, we probably wouldn't drop too many idioms, but it's not bad, all right? So it's actually a very good response. Okay, Jubilant James says, "At present, I'm not only working in a hospital as a staff nurse, but I'm also preparing for the IELTS exam since my future plans involve getting a job in New Zealand? Jubilant James, that's an excellent answer. Beautiful use of a correlative conjunction right off the hop. You're showing the examiner that you are mastering many facets of the English language and communication. So great. Muhammad Fazal says, at present, I'm not only working in school as a teacher, but I'm also preparing for my IELTS exam because, and then just give me that reason and it'll make it that much better. Great. And then the examiner will follow with another question, most likely. They usually ask 2, maybe even 3 questions for the icebreaker. They might say something like, when you're not working or studying, what do you like to do in your free time? Okay, think about some good answers for that one. If I missed some of your answers for the first question, don't be shy. Keep going. Keep giving me your answers. I always try to read different students' answers, so be confident. And don't worry about making mistakes. That's why you're here with me in this class, so I can help you out. So when you are not studying or working, what do you like to do in your free time? All right, that's a very common question to ask about your leisure time, okay? Let's see what you can come up with for that question. I'll give you my response while you're thinking about yours. Alir Zera, I party is an okay answer, okay? Sometimes students are afraid to say, I like to have a beer with my friends or I like to go party. Those are okay answers. Just make sure that you're being expressive. The IELTS examiners are not there to judge you. Of course, use clean language, don't curse, use respectful language. But they're not going to judge you on what you do, even if it's maybe not the most socially responsible activity. So you can say, well, when I have some time to myself, I like to get my friends together for a night out on the town for some drinks, music, and dancing. For instance, just this past Saturday, I went to a great jazz club with 2 of my friends and had a great time. This is definitely a good question to include some personal example, okay? So again, just repeat after me. Well, when I have some time to myself, I like to get my friends together for a night out on the town for some drinks, music, and dancing. For instance, just this past Saturday, I went to a great jazz club with 2 of my friends and had a great time. All right, May Ann Moratillo says, well, because I'm working 5 days a week, most of my spare time, I spend it with my family on the weekends. It was a good answer. Give me an example on the end of that, okay? Jeffrey says, well, reading is always my favorite pastime. For example, I read a novel after lunch before the start of the afternoon class. This week, I'm reading an excellent book by Tolkien. It's a fantasy book called Lord of the Rings, okay? So don't forget that example, all right? Santoshi says, when I have some time to myself, I like to take a nap. It allows me to recharge for the day and stay positive, usually around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yesterday, I had a great 30-minute nap before I went back to work. Okay, Santosh, so just a little bit more there with an example, and it'll make it that much better, okay? Stylist Mian is asking me a question. You're saying, what if we make some false story and they know the truth? Doesn't matter, okay? That's a very good question. It doesn't matter if they know the truth and you're just coming up with a story. The goal here is for you to show your English ability. As long as you're answering specifically that question, I don't care, and the examiner doesn't care if it's the truth, even if they know the truth, as long as it's good language, because they don't know if you're sure about the truth or not, or what's going on in your head, okay? So just be fluent, okay? One more. Salmi Abd says, well, when I have some free time, I like to go fishing. For instance, last Wednesday, I went to the lake with my dad or with my friend, and I caught a nice 10-pound trout. It was a beauty. Okay, so again, add that example. All right, let's get back to this now. So after that icebreaker, the examiner will continue and say something like, the IELTS exam has 3 parts. Now we will continue with part 1. I will ask you some more questions on a general topic. And then the examiner will say something like this. Look at the bottom here. If it's a little bit small, it's okay. Just listen to me. The examiner will say something like, okay, let's talk about your morning routine. What time of the day do you usually wake up? Is it different on weekends? Okay, so the question is, what time do you usually wake up? Is it different on weekends? So give me a nice answer for this one, students. Again, today's practice, today's class is a little bit intense. It's focusing on practice, so we're going from question to question. Here's your chance to show me what you learned in those past classes. So again, don't be shy if I missed your question or missed your answer. Just post it for the next one and I'll try to catch it, okay? Amjad says, I usually wake up at 7 o'clock because I have to get ready for university. My classes start at 8:30. It takes me about 45 minutes to get ready and another 20 minutes to get to school. However, on the weekend, I tend to sleep in and wake up around 9 in the morning with my batteries fully charged. So Amjad, that's a very good start to the response. I would definitely include a little bit more here. Again, the question is, what time of the day do you usually wake up? Is it different on weekends? Okay? So again, for those of you, when I'm reading your answer and I'm making corrections or I'm adding some more information, I definitely suggest coming back to this video maybe later today in 3-4 hours or even tomorrow or the day after and listen to it again. You can see what's going on in the chat now on YouTube even afterwards in the recorded videos. So you can write that down on a piece of paper and then say, aha, I see how Adrian changed what I did and my mistake there, and I see what he added to my comment. So I'll make sure to do that in the future. Okay. So Ali Reza Sutter says, as I work outside of town, I have to wake up pretty early. Okay. Ali Reza, make sure to include a time, so be quantitative. As I work outside of town, I have to wake up pretty early at about 4:30 a.m. I get ready in a half hour, but then I need to drive 2 additional hours to get to work. My job starts at 7:30 a.m. Okay, so give me some quantitative measurement. Give me something that I can measure. Pachu says, I usually get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, but on the weekends I get up at 8 o'clock because I'm really tired from the work week. That's a good answer, Pachu, absolutely. Explain why you're tired. My job is both physically and mentally demanding as I work in a company as an industrial engineer, something like that, okay? Shaju says, generally, I wake up at 5 a.m., then go to my university to attend class around 8:30. After finishing my routine class, come back home. Shaju, we're not asking you what you do the whole day, just the morning time. So careful not to go off topic, okay? One more. Sarah says, well, I usually wake up around 7 o'clock because my kids need to go to school and I have to get them ready. On the weekends, however, I really like to sleep in late until 10 o'clock and my husband takes care of breakfast and the children. Okay, so that's good. A little bit more clarity there and explanation. Okay, so again, something like this is the answer, works just great. During the weekdays, I wake up around 6 a.m. to get ready for school. It takes me about an hour to eat breakfast, get dressed, and get out the door, and another 30 minutes to get to class. However, on the weekend, I sleep in till about 9 a.m. because I like to get a good rest. Okay? Excellent. So those were some really good answers. There was quite a variety of vocabulary that different students used. Those were all more or less very good. Again, the focus here is answer clearly, stay on the question. Don't start talking about what you did the whole day or what you do the whole day. And use quantitative language, so actually mention the time. Most of us do get up at a specific time in the day, so make sure to mention that. Don't just say you get up early or late, okay? All right, some good answers there. So here's an example answer from the students. Well, on weekdays, I usually wake up at about 7:30 because I have to go to school. Weekends, however, I sleep in until about 10 or 11 o'clock. Okay, so there's another way to answer that question. Again, you see these little audio symbols here. That's because when you're using our website, there's actually audio that you can listen to with this examiner and this student, but it would be too redundant to play that for you now. So instead, let's go to the next question. Here is the next question. What do you eat for breakfast? All right, hopefully all of you have this very important meal of the day. So let's see how you answer this question. Definitely you could get some topics on food. So it's good to practice being able to express yourself talking about food. And a very typical question for part 1 could be, what do you eat for breakfast? So this time I'll wait for your answers. I'm not going to give you too many hints, but there are definitely a couple of points to pay attention to with this question. So students, what do you eat for breakfast? And again, you can make it up and you can keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overly complex. This is just part 1. So Harmeet Singh says, I'm eager to eat. I thought you were going to say I'm eager to eat meat, but I misread that, Harmeet. All right. So Rob Nouri, 2 words, fast breakfast. Rob Nouri, it's a fast answer, too fast. Stretch it out. I usually have a quick breakfast like cereal or a chocolate bar just to give me a quick energy boost for the morning, and then I have a bigger lunch. Just this morning I had a bowl of Cheerios. Okay, so stretch it out a little bit. Even if the breakfast is quick, make sure your answer is not that quick. All right. Jeffrey says, I usually have a light meal, including sesame powder mixed with soya milk. For these items, provide me with abundant nutrition. I caught most of that, Jeffrey. It was quite good. I caught that rice and potato answer as well. That was a little bit short. Pachu says, I'll have to go a little bit lower on the chat scale here. So Saju says, well, I generally eat half a bowl of eggs with some bread for breakfast. I think it's enough to keep me energized for the first half of the day. Okay, some corrections there. There was some grammar mistakes there. Athira says, usually I don't have much time to cook in the morning, so I make myself a quick sandwich. I put an egg on it and I drink a glass of milk, or I eat a sandwich, an egg, and I drink a glass of milk. So just a couple of grammatical mistakes there, Athira. All right, Gilstar Productions says, I love to eat a heavy breakfast because it's very important to keep me energized for the long work day ahead. Notice how I added a little bit more natural language to what you wrote there. One more. Harmeet Singh says, I usually eat a healthy breakfast, most of the time fruits and milk, with whole wheat bread to keep myself full for the day. Okay, good. Now, what I think a lot of you are missing is an example. You could easily throw in an example of what you had for breakfast that day. And breakfast before your speaking interview is important. Please don't walk into your speaking interview on an empty stomach. That's not good because when you're hungry, your brain does not work as well as it should. So it's a good idea to eat a healthy, nutritious breakfast before your IELTS exam. Don't drink too much coffee or too much dark tea because you're sitting down and you're going to get all jittery and you'll be nervous more easily. So stay off the coffee before you sit in for the interview, okay? And definitely get a good sleep the night before, all right? Okay, so those were some good answers. I'll give an answer here myself. Usually, I eat quite a big breakfast as it is a very important meal of the day. Just this morning, I ate eggs with hash browns, toast, a fruit bowl, and a cup of chocolate milk. So, I feel energized for this interview. Okay? It's good to refer to the real world and your situation, okay? So, usually I eat quite a big breakfast as it is a very important meal of the day. Just this morning, I ate eggs with hash browns, toast, a fruit bowl, and a cup of chocolate milk. So I feel energized for this interview. Now, if some of you are critical, you should realize I have a verb mismatch here. So it should say, and drank a cup of milk. That's often a mistake that students make, and I made it myself here in the writing. You don't eat chocolate milk, you drink chocolate milk, so you need to have that other verb in there, okay? Hash browns, Jubilant James, are you expressing that it can be as one word? Probably right. Hash browns, by the way, for those of you that don't know, no, it's two words, are potatoes that are fried in a skillet, okay? Small pieces of potatoes. All right, so let's keep going. Here's what the student responds. Again, repeat, repeat, repeat. I eat a variety of things for breakfast. Things, not the best word. Replace that with food. I eat a variety of foods for breakfast depending on how I feel. Some days I eat cereal. Some days I have toast and eggs. Some days I skip breakfast altogether. But this morning I had toast with jam. Okay, so that's a really nice answer as well. It's got quite a good range of words and vocabulary. It clearly shows the examiner that this student can talk about food quite well because they know quite a different range of vocabulary for foods, okay, in English, of course. All right, so here is the next question. What do you prefer? Coffee, tea, juice, or something else in the morning? Why? Okay, so this is the next question for you. Again, pay attention. Think about those strategies that I've shown you in the past and try to answer this one while I get the camera back on par with us. So again, the question is, what do you prefer? Coffee, tea, or juice, or something else in the morning? Why? So this one's obviously giving you a choice answer. You can choose one of these items and you could give your own response. In my opinion, it would be best to just choose one of the options given because it's easier. Okay, and you can still get a nice high band score. So, what do you prefer? Coffee, tea, juice, or something else in the morning? Why? So Dakhram Preet Singh says, I like coffee. It is the best for my health. It's debatable, so a lot of people might argue that with you, Dakhram Preet. So you should explain why you feel that it's good for your health, okay? Baljit says, I definitely prefer coffee as a morning drink. Give a reason, okay, for this kind of a question where you're being asked a preference and a choice of items. Definitely include why you like it. You like the taste of it. You like how you feel after you drink it. You like the smell of it, the look of it. So give me an explanation. Mehak Dylan says, well, I prefer fresh juice every morning because it is rich in vitamins, proteins, and is beneficial to every person to maintain body fitness. Dehak, you're kind of going off topic there. We're not talking about every person. And juice, I'm not sure if it contains protein, so you have to be careful. The examiner will think that you're maybe not familiar with the meaning of the word protein. Okay, milk has protein. Bala says, I prefer milk in the morning because I don't want to get addicted to caffeine, so I avoid tea and coffee. That's a nice answer, Bala, and it's nice expression there. You're saying that, hey, I know the meaning of caffeine and what that is, and I can express myself, so good for you. Victoria Boss says, actually, I don't like either of these. I prefer drinking nutritious beverages like a milkshake, and I couldn't read the rest of that, but it was a good start, okay? Badavat Prashanth. Well, to be honest, I usually prefer to drink coffee because it keeps me active. It helps me stay awake and alert. I'm a taxi driver, and it's very important for me to keep my eyes peeled while I'm taking my customers to their destination. Coffee helps me with that. Manaz says, I would prefer a cup of black coffee without milk or sugar because it gives me lots of energy and activates my mind for the day. Very good answer. Notice those additions and corrections that I said there. Again, if you missed it, watch the video later. Okay. And of course, when I'm reading your responses, you can take a note of the approximate time in the video, so you can find it very easily where I read your response and give you the correction. So if you have a pencil and paper in front of you, then quickly just write down the approximate time. Right now it's 32 minutes, so you can write down 32 minutes, and then you know that after the class is done in a few hours, you can come back, click to 30 minutes in the video, and you can find that correction, okay? One more. Manisha Punia says, for me, I prefer coffee during the weekdays because it helps me to get active for the long work day ahead. But on the weekends, I usually drink juice to feel some change in my routine and know that I am staying healthy or being healthy. Okay, good. So those were all some very nice responses. Good job with those students. So here's what this student says. The student says, I used to drink, and again, repeat. I used to drink several cups of coffee every morning, but recently I've tried to switch to juice in the morning. I prefer orange juice, although I do enjoy apple juice as well. All right, now notice that this student took that simple question and they adapted their response to express some high-level high-level grammar. So they're showing the examiner that, hey, okay, you asked me a simple question, and I'm going to show you that I understood that and I can respond in a very fluent, clear, communicative, high-level grammar fashion. So I used to drink several cups of coffee, but recently I've switched to juice in the morning. Present perfect there, some use of coordinating conjunction there. Very well done, and the used to showing habit there. So very nicely put by this student. All right, let's go to the next question. So here's the question. After breakfast, what is the first thing you usually do? Okay, so what is the first thing you usually do? Well, here you have a toothbrush and toothpaste. So that's maybe giving you a hint that some people might like to brush their teeth after breakfast. Personally, I like to brush it before breakfast, but that's something you could say. Keep it simple. Answer this question. So again, give a nice answer to after breakfast. What is the first thing you usually do? Give me a good answer. Try to show your grammar. Try to show your ability for vocabulary. Try to show your capacity to join sentences together. Dr. Ampreet says, I'm brushing my teeth, but you need to use even if you use that, you want to include the elements of the question. So following my breakfast, I like to brush my teeth so my mouth is fresh before I get to school or work. Okay. ENG Mahmoud says, after breakfast, I usually brush my teeth to keep them clean and healthy, especially because often my breakfast has a lot of sugar. I put sugar in my coffee, and I like to eat jam on toast. That sugar is bad for my teeth, so I always make sure to brush them before starting the rest of the day. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a picture. You don't have to use brush your teeth. You can do something else, okay? You can say something else. Jeffrey says, after finishing breakfast, I do the dishes, unlike the rest of my homestay family who tends to pile them up and wash them in the afternoon. All right. It sounds like your household needs a dishwasher. Less conflict. All right. Victoria Bass says, personally, I brush my teeth after breakfast. I don't like having food debris in my mouth after eating, as it makes my mouth have a bad odor, and it's embarrassing when I talk to my colleagues or fellow students. Good. So paint that picture. Yeah. None of us like to have debris or pieces of food stuck in our teeth. We like to get those out. We definitely don't want to say good morning to the colleague sitting next to us with a big green piece of salad hanging out from our canines. I agree. All right. So some excellent answers there. Let's do one more. Tulsi says, well, after breakfast, I usually brush my teeth. It helps my oral hygiene and have fresh breath for the day. Brushing your teeth, flossing, rinsing your mouth, all of that together, ladies and gentlemen, is called oral hygiene. I'll just quickly write that word up there for you so you can learn some vocabulary here as well. Okay, oral hygiene includes brushing, flossing, and rinsing. All right. So let's get on to the next question here. Oh yeah, the student here. The student says, after I eat in the morning, I always have a shower and brush my teeth. Sure. So that's the morning routine. Let's go to the next question. Again, repeat questions, not just the answers. Which would you rather do in the morning? Watch the news on television or read a newspaper? Why? So here, again, you're being asked to make a choice or a decision between two different options. If you have a question like this, even if you don't watch television in the morning, even if you don't read the newspaper in the morning, my suggestion is choose one and talk about it. I don't think it's a good idea if the examiner asks you something like this to say, well, I don't do either because I don't like the news. You could do that and you could still get a good mark, but you're creating an unnecessarily difficult situation for yourself. In this case, it's most likely easier just to choose one of these and explain why and give an example. Okay? So try that in your response. Again, when you have a choice of 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, it's better just to choose one of those, give an explanation, give an example. It's easier to get a good band score than saying, oh, none of those, I like this, and then going with your own original idea. Students often get themselves into trouble doing that. Amjad Ali says, I usually read the newspaper, especially about celebrity gossip. I find it very entertaining. For instance, I read in the paper yesterday that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie got remarried, and they're no longer fighting over child custody. That's probably not true, but just make it up on the fly, okay? Padong Yap says, since television is more accessible for me, I usually watch the news every morning on the tube, and I stay with current affairs. I stay up to speed with current affairs. That was a good answer, okay? You might want to include an example there. Jut Raj says, I usually prefer to watch TV because it gives information about the morning news and astrology. I'm always keen to find out what my horoscope is. This morning, it said that I will perform well on the exam, so I hope that's true, okay? All right, good. So again, don't forget those examples, all right? Let's keep going here. So the student says, I like reading the newspaper, but it's too expensive in my hometown, so I usually just read news articles on the internet if I want to catch up on the latest events. So here, the student still responds to the newspaper. They give a little bit more information, and then they say they like to read the news on the internet. Again, if you're really confident, you might go this direction, but notice that even this student made sure to have a choice between the two before mentioning a third option, which is the internet, okay? And they explain why they don't read the newspaper, okay? So that's another good answer. Let's go to the next one. All right, so that's the end of part one, it seems like, for our slides. In our course, you can click on this giant green button, and you can book a practice mock IELTS speaking interview with me or one of my colleagues. Of course, that is a paid service, but you can do that on our website directly right out of the course as you're doing this practice. You can just click that button, make payment, and set up a practice speaking session. You can see here it's $25 US, 30 minutes, interview, corrections, and feedback. All right. So that is the end of that slide. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue on here with the next one. All right, here we go. So I'm going to leave part two for now. You know what? Let's just do a review of part two together, and then that will be effective. So just bear with me for one moment here. Okay? All right. So this is just going to be some repetition practice for part two, but you will see the strategies involved here that we talked about. So at the end of part one, the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part one. Now we will continue with part two. For part two, I'm going to give you a card with some questions on it. Please don't turn it over. Here's some note paper and a pencil. You can take notes if you wish. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answer, your notes. Then you will have 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Are you ready? And then you have to answer, yes, I'm ready to go. And then the examiner will say, okay, your 1 minute preparation time begins now. And then you turn over your card. You have 1 minute to answer a set of questions, and this could be the card in front of you. Read the card carefully, identify the topic, use your critical thinking, think about what, why, how, visualize it, imagine, picture it, and then, of course, identify if you're talking about a person, a place, an object, or an event. Which one's this one? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it an object? Or is it an event? Which one is it? It's not a place. It's an event. That's right, Jubilant, James, and Jeffrey. It's an event. It's an experience of travel. Experience right away should give you the hint that this is an event. So describe a travel experience you had. You should say where you traveled, who you traveled with or who traveled with you, what made the experience notable or memorable, whether you would go back. If so, would you do anything differently? Why or why not? Okay, so some interesting questions there. You can try this one at home, but for now, I'm going to give you an answer from a student. So let's see what this student responds. Again, just repeat nice and loud, okay? So just repeat nice and loud. So this is just a sample response here. Okay? So let's start from the beginning. Pay attention to what this student's doing. So pay attention to how they tackle each of these questions. Focus on the grammar that the student is asking. Notice how the student is using visual language, okay? So the student says, I've done a lot of traveling in my life. And again, repeat after me. I'll read a little bit slower. So I've done a lot of traveling in my life. Being from Stockholm, all of Europe is just a short flight away. However, my most memorable travel experience was when I went to Zimbabwe after my final year of high school. My mother is from Harar, the capital. She wanted to give me a graduation present, and she knew I always wanted to see where she was from. I remembered landing at the airport thinking, this is Africa. It was beautiful, green, and modern. My mother took me to her old neighborhood, and we got to see the house where she grew up in. She told me that Salisbury is what Harar used to be called, and it was a great place to grow up. We spent 2 weeks in Harar. The food, the culture, and the people were amazing. We went on a safari outside the city, and we saw lions, zebras, and elephants. Those are definitely not animals I get to see in Stockholm. It was an incredible experience, and I would love very much to go back. Harar is a wonderful city, and 2 weeks was not nearly enough time. Now, if I were the student here, I would probably add a little bit more to the end to answer that last question on the card. So, if I have another opportunity to visit Harar in the future, I will plan to go there for at least a month, as there are a lot of exciting adventures to do even in 4 weeks. So I would add that extra piece in just so the examiner is very clear that I answered that last question, okay? So otherwise, it is an excellent response. It very clearly answers the event, when it happened, who was there, what happened there, and when the student goes through those steps of the event, they're also answering the questions on the card, except that last question. That one's a little bit missing there, okay? So that would be an ideal answer. Now, for those of you watching, I highly, highly recommend trying this one at home and then again sending it to me by email. You can just write it down, or you can record it as MP3, send it to my email, send me the MP3, and I'll let you know what I think. I'll let you know what band score you would probably get for that part 2 response. So I challenge you to, again, look at that card in the video, give your own answer, send it to me by email, and I will send you back a band score estimate. Of course, when part 3 is finished, the examiner will say, all right, that your 2 minutes is up. Please give me back the card, the note paper, and the pencil, and we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I'm going to ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. Are you ready? Yes, let's continue. So, then they'll ask something like this. Is your home country a popular tourist destination? What cities or areas are the most popular? Okay, now the examiner probably won't emphasize quite as much as I do. They'll be a little bit more swift. So they'll say it something like this. Is your home country a popular tourist destination? What cities or areas are the most popular? So be ready to hear the question at that speed in part 3. Okay, Chai Razal, at the end of class in about 10 minutes, I'll put my email up again, okay? So you can send it to me there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's answer a couple of these part 3 questions before we wrap it up. Don't give up just yet. Part 3 is essential. Give me some of your best answers. Is your home country a popular tourist destination? What cities or areas are the most popular? Answer these questions nice and clearly. And in part 3, this does happen where the examiner will roll 2 questions into one. Okay? Preet Sina, yes, definitely my home city is a very popular tourist destination because, and you want to keep going with that. Preeti Sina, that was good. You shouldn't have deleted that. It was a good start. Just make sure to include the name of your city. Remember, in the last class, I explained that you have to be specific. So unknown boy saying, here in Nepal, where I live in my hometown, and then say the name of the city where you live and express whether it's popular or not. Muhammad Fazal says, maybe that's a little bit of a tricky question, so I'm going to buy some time. So Muhammad Fazal says, that's an interesting question. Just give me a second. I have to think about it. Sure, fair enough. I mean, you might not know right away, is my city really popular or not? Okay. Gil Star Production, just hold off a minute. I'll have my email ID up there at the end of class again, okay? So just be a little bit patient. Okay, so Padong Yup says, definitely in my country, Philippines has a lot to offer in terms of tourism. Padong, you're not getting points or you're losing points because, oh, sorry, it's your home country, so you're right. I was thinking city here, but you're right. My bad. So Padong says, my country, Philippines, has a lot to offer in tourism. Oh, sorry, and I missed your question. Anyway, blunder, airball by me. I'll catch it next time. Unknown Boy says, we have a high hill in which most of the tourists usually visit for trekking and paragliding in spring season. That's good. Good to name those activities, okay? So Geeta Singh, a little bit more beforehand. So yes, India is a very popular tourist destination. Delhi is a popular city that many people visit for its culture and heritage. Okay, that's good. Just a little bit more answering the full question there. Okay. Avneet Singh says, certainly Delhi is one of the popular destinations for tourists because of the heritage, the monuments, and the variety of cuisines which it provides. Okay. Mary MD says, yes, my home country is a popular tourist destination, and Shiraz and Esfahan and Yazd are the most popular ancient monuments there. Make sure you name your country, Miriam. Okay, so name your country. Don't forget to do that. Murasa says, that's an interesting question. Just give me a moment to think. Yes, my city of Islamabad has a lot of tourists because there are some famous museums that depict not only the local history, but much of cultural history as well. Okay, those were some good answers. Let's have a look at what the student answers. Oh, this is the student's answer here. Just repeat after me. Sweden is a beautiful country and we do receive a lot of tourists, but I would not call it a popular tourist destination. I would call France and Britain popular, but not Sweden. The most popular tourist areas, however, are my hometown of Stockholm and the western city of Gothenburg. Mostly Stockholm, though. Okay, and just as one of the students in the chat did, it would be a good idea to include a couple of examples of why people like to visit those cities. Okay, so that's a solid answer. Let's have one more here. All right, this will be the last question that we'll cover in today's class. So give it your best. Try to give me a nice answer for this one. The examiner says, how has tourism affected your home country? So how has tourism affected your home country? This is where you might want to start with, well, that's an unusual question. Please give me a moment to think about the answer, and then take a couple of seconds and actually think about it. Right away think, what would 9 from 10 people say? So if I asked 10 people in my home country, how has tourism affected our country? What would they say? What would be the top answers? And then think about those, put them together in a sentence. Okay? So try it out. Okay? Education ACC says, tourism has affected my country of Germany in many positive ways. For example, it's helped the development of modern infrastructure like roads and airports, as well as local economy, restaurants, and souvenir shops. Okay, Education ACC, you definitely want to include more information, and you definitely want to show the grammar of the question. Has affected, present perfect, so make sure your answer is showing present perfect. That was a very important point in the last couple of classes, that the grammar of the question must be in your answer to get that high IELTS band score and fly high with your success like this plane is doing here. Okay, Mohammed Fazal says, well, tourists have participated in various ways in my country. I think you're a little bit off there. You want to rephrase that. Mibian Raj says, tourism has affected my country both in good and bad ways. The positives are the road infrastructure and other development. However, the negatives, and then obviously you want to mention some of the negatives as well. All right. Jeffrey says, since my nation, Taiwan, has become more open to the world since the 60s, our people are eagerly learning foreign languages such as English and Spanish, thanks to the influence that tourism has had on the country. Tie it back to that question with the grammar, Jeffrey. Okay? Bala Murugan says, tourism has affected a plethora of areas in my hometown by creating more waste and more traffic. Unfortunately, this has been more negative than positive in my opinion. Bala, that's okay. Just express it at the end, okay? So, otherwise it was quite good. ENG Mahmoud says, yes, I think my hometown and city of Jerusalem has been affected by many tourists. And then it looked okay, but it looked like there were quite a few grammar mistakes there. All right, girls and guys, that was pretty good. So let me just pop to the end here. Again, if you are on the website, you can check out the slides that I kind of skipped through here. We don't have too much more time, but for many of you who have been watching these classes adamantly, here's a little ending here for you. I'm not sure why it's not showing that in full slide. Okay. So let me just jump to the end here. Lots more questions there if you're doing the online course, and trying to get to a point here. Of course, you can book that speaking with us. Focus on identifying your mistakes in speaking. And then when you go through the remainder, even my camera's had enough of this course. It's saying, hey, it's enough. Just give me a moment and get you back here, and then I'll show you my email so you know where to send that part 2 speaking to. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. So anyway, I know that a lot of you have been following these classes over the past several weeks. So I did want to get to this slide. If you've been watching these classes for the past month or so, these online course classes, congratulations to you. You've completed more or less our interactive course online. The full interactive course has about 400 slides that cover the listening, reading, writing, speaking sections with lots of strategies and tips. Again, you can use that on your phone or your tablet. That's available to you from our websites, aehelp.com for academic, gieltshelp.com for general. Of course, it's different. So if you're doing the general IELTS exam, of course, the reading and the writing sections are going to be different in the course. But to those of you who watched all of these videos and watched these live course sessions, congratulations. Good for you for sticking with it. It's a good idea to repeat the course several times. Make sure you catch all those skills, tricks, tips, and strategies. And then here, I just want to show you this. I think maybe some of you have this idea that I'm a one-man show, but definitely not the case. We are a decent, small-sized company. I am one of the key players. My father's also in the company. A man named Amar Yasser Kurdi helped found the company. Evan Keeley inside has been critical in our company, composing materials and authoring a lot of the different passages. We have professional editors that have gone through this for the audio. We've had audio techs, all these voice actors. So it's good to mention that there are lots of people involved to make this happen and to offer these materials for you so that you can use them and increase your IELTS band scores and become successful on your next IELTS exam. So I definitely want to give a big thanks to all of the people involved. Thank you for watching today. Again, make sure to practice. Here is my email again. Adrian@aehelp.com. You can send your work there, and I will gladly take a look at that Part 2 response, give you a score estimate. Again, do visit our websites. Keep up the good practice. You can buy our books from Amazon. You can download our apps from iTunes or from your Play Store. So lots and lots of materials from us to help you. It's developed on the basis of psychology, educational psychology, psychology of learning. So lots and lots of helpful resources for you. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful night if it's late in your country, and sweet dreams if it's even later than that. I will see you tomorrow, members chat class, and then next week we start with a fresh material. Bye for now, everyone.